Okay, so we will be reading the story of boy Jesus. All right, the synopsis, and it'll be in Luke chapter 2, verse 41 through 52. If you don't know, they were walking home from a big event, basically, and they didn't realize that Jesus was not with them until later on that night. And when they were searching for him for 3 days. Once they found him, he was in the temple with priests answering and talking about God. And they were like, "Where are you?" And he was like, "You didn't know I would be in my father's house?" And they were confused and didn't really know what he meant by that. Of course, he was talking about God, our Father, but they're going to get more insight. 3 days of frantic searching pass before they find their son in an unusual circumstance, sitting cross-legged in the temple court, surrounded by religious scholars. So not only was he in the temple, his legs were crossed. He was comfortable. He was in a comfortable position. He wasn't worried. His parents were worried, but he was sitting there. He was chilling because he was in his father's house. For 3 days, he has been listening and learning and asking questions about scriptures. The leaders spoke with awe of their son's wisdom and understanding beyond his years. Relived and angry, they scold Jesus for the anxiety that he caused. Yeah, they like, "Oh my goodness, we lost the Messiah." But the thing is, it is to the earthly confusion because they were afraid. It's a scary thing to lose your child. But then it's an even scarier thing to lose God's child. But then at the same time, I was listening to a sermon by Pastor Jerry Flowers Jr., and he was saying that when you start to panic and worry, you show your limited understanding of how God works. He was talking about how Aaron and Moses, he delivered the Israelites from captivity from the Egyptians. He had a speech impediment, and he was like, how would I talk? You know what I'm saying? Like, what would I say? I don't have the best words to say. I don't know what to say. I don't speak the best. And you're limiting what God can do. Like, you don't know that God can literally fix your language, fix how you talk, so that people can understand you. If God divided the languages to where everyone spoke and speaks a different language to this day, if God raised Lazarus up from the dead, if God told the legion of demons to leave that man and go into the pigs and jump off the cliff, if God can do all these things, well, that was Jesus, but nonetheless, God, you're limiting God. God parted the Red Sea. God created the heaven and the earth and all of the animals. So we are limiting what God can actually do. And not just Jesus' parents that they're limiting to know that, okay, well, maybe this is a part of God's plans, but we do the same thing. When something goes awry in our lives, instead of trusting that this is God's plan, we start to get fearful or we get angry with God. And a lot of times, it's plans that we have made for ourselves that God didn't even sign off on. We have a whole field trip slip, and God didn't sign off on it. We're making plans, this is going to be our life. We're going to live in this house. We're going to have this job. We're going to make this amount of money. And God's like, you can have those wants and desires, but that's not what's going to actually happen. And we get upset with God when family members die too soon, or when we lose our job, when we're in a situation that we didn't plan for, but God has planned it all along. And instead of trusting Him, we're showing Him that we don't really know how you work, which we don't. But we're also showing you we don't know how powerful He is, which we don't. We don't know who He is and what He is and how He loves us. And the same thing for Jesus' parents. Like, y'all didn't just trust that He was okay. I mean, it is okay to be upset, but like, once you found Him and He was in the temple, put two and two together, He's a Messiah. He should be in church. He should be with biblical scholars. He should have been with them all along. And yes, he was only 12, but only 12. Honestly, I've met a lot of 12-year-olds, and they are beyond smart. So he should have been with biblical scholars from the beginning. However, We can only imagine the rejection his parents may have felt to hear him say that. And I don't think that it was rejection. I mean, yes, a sense of rejection, but they know that they're raising, you know what? I don't know, because there is a point. No, that's someone else saying that. But wouldn't say that there was a sense of full rejection. That he said that he's with his dad, that he's with his father, because they knew, like, yes, they raised him, but they knew that he was the Messiah. Despite all the prophecies spoken over him, he is still their son, whom they loved ever since he was a crying baby. In this jarring interaction, he becomes a mystery to them again. Oh, wow. This is a mystery to them again. It's like he changed. This incident foreshadows the many times in Jesus' ministry when he would be misunderstood. Religious leaders would accuse him, crowds would scorn him, and even his disciples would struggle to comprehend him. After a particularly disappointing visit to Nazareth, he would remark that a prophet is honored everywhere except in his own hometown and among his relatives and his own family. Wow. And it's not just a prophet. It's anything. Like, it's a lot of stuff. And I always thought that too. We can't judge them for saying, oh, he's not the Messiah, that's blasphemy. Jesus never wavered in his calling. And I feel like that's so good, because we can get, what's it called, imposter syndrome, where we start to doubt ourselves and our abilities and what God called us to do. Jesus didn't do that. He didn't waver. And that's why I feel like imposter syndrome is connected. It can be bewildering when parents become distressed by our very efforts to live out the values they instilled in us. Ooh, that is so good. And there comes a time as parents where we teach our children to stand up for yourself, speak up for yourself until they do it to you. And then from there, we have a choice to make. To acknowledge our teaching and respect the boundaries that they have placed, or do we try to keep them in a child's place because our pride is crushed and we need to feel like we're still in authority over them? And that's also where the growth lies. He was 12 years old. He may still be seen as a child, because I know if my child is 12, they're still a child, but they're growing. They have to become adults someday. And so at that point, we should be teaching them things that they should know, lessons that they should know, and the foundations that they should have once they become adults, and not stagger them. To be like, oh, you're still a child, you're only 12 years old. And it may be sooner than 12. It may be 8 years old. I remember I had learned the word hypocrite, and the minute I saw my mom do something, I'm like, oh, you're a hypocrite. And she was like, you know what I'm saying? And we were just talking about that the other day. But going on that point, a lot of times we are hypocrites. Jesus says, do as I say and as I do. But parents, we love to say, do as I say and not as I do. We're hypocrites. Why? Children learn best from watching. So why am I telling you to do something and then don't do drugs, and I go do drugs? Because I know it's bad, but I'm grown. How does that really help? And so when our children start to call us out, and yes, there is a respectful manner to do it, but when our children start to call us out, then we don't want to take accountability from what we taught them.